Hello. Hi,
Hi,
James.
James.
Hello po. Yung question for Inigo, gaano ka-personal yung album na to sa'yo? Like, yung mga songs ba is somehow nafe-feel mo at the moment? Or pinagdadaan?
Uh, I mean, para sa akin, there's some songs in the album that I personally wrote as well that I actually, um, may mga pinagdaanan ako and I was able to write those songs. And sa daming nangyari sa album na to, siguro, nasasabi ko each song kind of reminds me of a certain time in my life or, di ba, parang so much happened while we were recording, while we were promoting. And yeah, I could say na sobrang personal itong album na to para sa akin. I mean, coming from my first album with Dahil Sa'yo, I was so nervous working on another album. I was nervous with the thought of even releasing music because I didn't know what to come up with. But I'm happy now, I'm glad that I'm able to do this and show this side of me. Um, and that's all thanks to Moves, of course, and the whole Tarsier team.
In part, it's also you.
Ano yung pinaka-parang song na sobrang relate ka ngayon? Like yung pinaka-song dun sa album?
Ah, hindi ko masasabing relate na relate. Pero siguro I've been listening to Danger a lot. Personally, also one of my favorites from the album. Because it's a song that I've been wanting to do. I mean, it's that type of vibe that I've been trying to work on. I mean, with Chris, I can say also na nahanap ko yung tunog ko with this album. I mean, Chris and I were talking about what sound can we make or what can I make as my sound. Parang feeling ko dun sa first album ko nag-explore pa ako kung ano ba yung tunog na gagawin ko for myself. And I feel like with this album and with Danger, Catching Feelings, we were able to kind of really figure that out.
Find your home.
Yeah.
Home sound.
Yun lang. Thank you so much, Inigo. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, James. Ingat ka.
Thank you, James. There you go from Showbiz Ganap, James Miguel. Also, another question. This one's coming from Josephine Bonsol of joebonsol.net. Hi, Josephine.
Hi, Rico. Hello,
How are
Kristen.
you?
Congratulations.
Hello!
Inigo. I miss you.
Mami Jo, hello po.
Hi, I love you, Inigo.
I
And
love you po.
Siguro, I'd like to ask you first, how do you feel if you can assess how you have evolved from when you started and now? What are the changes? What do you think? And did the options change also, your preferences when it comes to the genre of music, your inspiration? Would you like to talk about that?
I mean, for myself as an artist, masasabi kong mas nag-mature siguro yung ako and then also my music definitely matured with the sound that it has now. Ibang-iba siya sa tunog ng first album ko and I'm glad I was able to work on this kasi mas natuklasan ko yung tunog na gusto ko pala para sa sarili ko. And siguro even with my likings of genres and types of music, I was able to explore more. Actually, with the help of Chris, also he would share with me a lot of new artists, and even the artists in Tarsier. Like there's so many young artists that are so talented and so diverse. Iba yung kaya nilang gawin at mabibigay nila. So nakakatuwa kasi pati ako natututo ako sa kanila. There's so many artists that are even younger than me na sobrang talented, sobrang galing magsulat, mag-produce. Some of them, they do everything. They produce, they write, they sing and perform. So nakaka-inspire na sana magawa ko rin yun, di ba? And age is just a number. You could do whatever you want as long as you put your heart and your passion, yung passionate ka talaga sa ginagawa.
Pero I'm also curious, Inigo, and I bet your fans are going to be curious about this. Are you still trying to study about hindi pa ako sa love life, wala pa ako doon. Siguro dun sa are you trying to study further? Are you training? Are you doing things to help you,
So,
create a better version of you?
So early this just a couple months ago, I started this training for my dance and for my performing. Para lang mas mahasa rin po ako and it's definitely changed my perspective on a lot of things, not just in performing but in my lifestyle. Kasi um, grabe yung mga bata ngayon, sobrang talented talaga. Ang hirap. It's hard to keep up with the times, with these kids just coming out of nowhere and they're so talented. And personally, I don't want to limit myself with what I've already done. But I want to keep going and I want to maximize, um, my talent and what I can do. And I also want to be able to entertain, at full capacity and just be able to really bring joy through my music. And yes po, I am actually doing a lot of training right now. Actually, after this press con, meron pa akong training mamayang 6 p.m. So, dire-diretso talaga. But it's all part of it. It's all part of the process of, making the dream happen.
Last question.
Ito na yun. Ito na yung love life. Ito na yung love life.
Hindi. Sila na lang kasi marami pang nasa roster na magtatanong sa kanya. Hindi ko na sila... I will not deprive them of the chance to ask you. Pero my question is my last siguro. If you want to share to your fans, no? Kasi, they're still curious. Are you... Hirit lang konti, love lang. Are you in love right now?
Right now, I'm not currently in love with someone, but I'm in love with what I'm doing. I mean, grabe yung lahat na nangyayari. I mean, it's hard to really start something. I mean, I've been saying that, and I know people are probably getting so tired of my answers, but that's just the reality of it. I mean, we're going through this pandemic, so much is going on.
Yeah, how do you meet someone in the pandemic?
Yeah. Ang hirap din magsimula ng
online. Yeah, it is tough. It is tough. Yeah.
So it's also hard to say that I'm in love. It's a big word. Yeah.
Thank you. Congratulations,
Thank you, Mami Jo. I love you,
Inigo. I love you. Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Rico.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you very much. You see, her background is in New York City. She's live in New York. We have some more questions, ladies and gentlemen, for those. So this one, I'll be reading in a question coming from Neil Ramos from Tempo. The question is, please relate how you have grown as a songwriter, musician, performer in the recent years.
I feel like I was able to have more appreciation to sounds that I didn't really see myself listening to before, even doing. With Options, I remember there were times in the recording studio with Chris, I would make sounds with my mouth. I'd be like, yo, Chris, I want to put this in the song.
It's on the record.
Even like the
Dude,
trumpet.
there's one sound, Easter egg, if you could find it, somewhere on the album, he's making a trumpet noise. He's like, It sounds like a trumpet, but it's actually him going, blah, 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 like that with his mouth. See if you can find it.
Hey.
This album definitely, made me more experimental to, what I can do to each song.
And with the dancing you did mention, dahil nagtitiktok ka na rin ngayon. Ganun na yun. Is it to elevate the dance moves?
Actually, nakatulong din yung TikTok. I mean, TikTok's not easy. I mean, nowadays, like, the dance challenges on TikTok are not easy, actually. So, no, pero the training is it's for performance talaga. I want to push myself even more, and it's not easy. I'm telling you guys, it's intense.
And to sing at the same time while you're dancing, right? And you got like an earpiece and all that. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Here's another question. This is coming from Queenie Arguelles Lastra from Village People. Why Options as the title? Is there a specific reason for it? Please expound. Why is it Options album, and what is it all about?
You were actually discussing this on what the title should be, but Options being the very first track that we released, I felt like it was just perfect. Also because there are certain songs in the album that have a lot of options, a lot of different versions. Even the music video for Options literally had 3 different versions, and I just feel like it also kind of relates to how a young man such as me would have to go through life and would have certain options that I would have to deal with. And each song kind of represents, that certain time or that emotion that I felt. And iba-iba. I mean, this album is full of different things. I mean, there's love songs. There's songs that makes you miss your ex, you know, or makes you realize that you're still falling for that person. So yeah, I mean, options.
No, we could have called it decisions, because really options really just leads to decisions, right? You have to, options, you have to decide. And that's actually like, when you're producing music, it comes down, there's like 1,000 decisions you have to make. Like, do I put this sound or this sound? Do I set it at this level or this level? And he helped produce a lot of it. So there were a lot of options even in the creation of the album.
Yeah.
And is it because the reason why there's so many options is because of the pandemic and you guys are all in a studio? There's a lot of creative juices. Life is not getting in the way and there's a lot of time?
Well, I mean, there's that, but there's also just like we were exploring, and there were a lot of different producers, and you know, we also had remixes. I don't know, am I allowed? I'll find out if I'm allowed to say something about something we're dropping next month, if someone could let me know, that involves that. But yeah, there was just a lot of creative input, so a lot of options in that sense. So, yes.
All right, this is something to look forward to. Here's another question. We're going to call in, let's see, Dranessa Ledesma, representing the popblog.ph. Is she there? Supposed to be joining us. Okay, well, her question is, what's the inspiration or story behind the album? Is there any new musical influences and references you guys use in making this album?
There was a lot, actually. I mean, the fact that we did it for 2 years, there were a lot of artists that I would listen to and I would tell Chris, I kind of want to make it this sound or make it kind of feel like this vibe. And definitely, I mean, it's a whole different sound from what I've done before, from Dahil Sa'yo, from the first album that I made. It's a whole different sound. And like what I said earlier, I feel like I found my sound through this album.
Okay, so more questions, of course. These are the people that are sending. Let's call Neil Lajot from the Freeman. Hi, Neil.
Hi, hello Rico, hello Chris.
How you doing?
Hello.
Hi, Neil.
Hi, so I would just like to congratulate you, Rico, for your upcoming album.
Thank you so much.
I'm pretty sure that your fans are really looking out for it. So, my question is, so the 12-track album was said to revolve around the concept of self-discovery as you explore several options in your musical sound. May I ask, what are the discoveries you found about yourself, both personal and professional, while making or after completing this album?
I mean, I could definitely say I grew up with this album. I don't think I've ever worked on anything this long. 2 years was a long time, but I mean, to be honest, it didn't even feel like work. You know, working on this album never felt like I was working. And I guess it's one thing that I learned throughout this whole journey, you know, making this album, was that it's possible to work and make music without making it feel like work or making it feel like you're doing it for something, but you're just plainly enjoying it and sharing music to different types of people. I mean, the fact that we were able to share it to different parts of the world, it's crazy. You know, I never thought I'd be able to do that. So yeah, I mean, my main learning was patience and learning to just enjoy and being in the moment and not stopping because of a pandemic.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, you mentioned about the pandemic already. This is also my second question, and perhaps Chris can also add to add this question. So in the span of 2 years, of course, you've had encountered a lot of difficulties when making this album. So can you walk us through to those moments, the difficulties that you had to encounter?
Okay, well, I guess I could speak to more on the back end. Like, I mean, for recording, obviously, there's the challenge of doing it safely. But Inigo we've worked in here so many times that there's a level of trust, and we're able to just he's getting tested like all the time. How many swabs have you done, bro? Like 100?
Probably like 100. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's always a chance if I need him to record, he'd be like, "Oh, I'll be swabbed on Tuesday. Okay, come over after that." But I know that the team specifically struggled a lot with some of the challenges posed by the pandemic. You know, like budgets get inflated with testing costs. The logistics just go haywire. I'm sure anyone in production can speak to that. How hard it is to mount just a shoot, just like a normal shoot during these times. It's crazy, right? So, but then the flip side of that is there are some things we were able to do with Inigo and with the label in general that wouldn't have been possible without the pandemic. Like, because of the pandemic, Zoom became a regular thing. If we weren't the pandemic, we'd all be, nobody would show up to this for a telecon. It would have to be in person, right? But with the pandemic, it's allowed Zoom to be a thing, which has allowed international collaborations to happen more easily. Like, even Rico knows, like, we've had artists from LA come and interview with him, and they're just as live as if they were in Manila. So it's a two-sided coin, I would say.
For me, I mean, there was a lot of things that we had to go through. I mean, in 2019, I was barely home. I was barely in the Philippines because I was flying in and out almost every month. And then like 2020 happened, and we had so much planned out. I was supposed to go on tour with New Rules in the UK.
12-day tour, UK, Scotland, Ireland, England.
And it would be my first time being on a tour, but having like an actual tour. And I think that was the first thing that kind of made me sad about the pandemic happening, was like that I couldn't do that. But the swab test, honestly, I hate getting swabbed. I'm still not used to it. Talaga ako nasasanay ko yung swab ako. Even sa ASAP, di ba, sa lahat ng ginagawa namin, naging iba talaga yung proseso ng lahat. Kasi, there was a time in ASAP where we had to tape everything all in 1 week, for the whole month. And it's hard just memorizing choreography, memorizing the lyrics, and having to look like each song, each performance by heart. And I don't think a lot of people realize that we don't have that much time to really learn and to put in our all in those songs in that small amount of time. So there's a lot of things that we had to adjust to. I mean, with this album, we didn't know where we were gonna go after the pandemic happened. We didn't know if we were still gonna keep going, keep releasing music. We had so much planned out. Honestly, we had so many tours and so many different places we wanted to go to. But more than anything, I'm just glad that we still pushed for it. The team pushed for it, and we would have Zoom calls, talking about what we could do. And honestly, that gave me hope, through the pandemic. Every time we would have Zoom calls, I would actually feel better afterwards and feel like, there's still something to be happy about. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much, Inigo.
Thank you so much, Neil. Thank you.
Thank you.